Hey guys, this is part 3 of Theories and Causation. And in part 3, we're going to talk about sociocultural theory, moral development, and then the dynamic systems approach. So with your sociological theory, this was created by Vygotsky. And basically, it was in response to Piaget. And remember, we talked about Piaget taking more of a biological approach to cognitive development. And Piaget suggested that kids are like little scientists and going around and exploring their world. Well, Vygotsky didn't really agree with that, and he really thought that the social interactions from adults and peers are really important in children learning about their environment. And he actually suggested that the cultural development appears first on the social level. And he gives the example of, babies who are really young and they want something to eat. Well, the social level, their caregiver has to go and get it for them and bring it to them before they can actually go and explore the world. So that's kind of the basis of what Vygotsky discusses. Vygotsky talks about a zone of proximal development, and basically you have what the learner can do by himself independently, and what the learner cannot do out here. And then in the middle is that zone of proximal development, where the learner can do the task with guidance. And so it's kind of this interaction between the learner and another person, and that the other person is providing assistance. And as the learner becomes more and more independent, the person providing assistance is going to back off more and more and more. Think about a kid riding a bike. At first, the parent is going to give them lots of assistance, and then as the kid starts to pedal on their own, the parent's going to back off, and then eventually the learner can ride the bike by themselves. And we can relate this to kids with emotional and behavioral disorders, because a lot of times they're not taught proper ways to interact with other kids. They're not taught those social skills, and they're not taught the value of education. So when we think about kids with emotional and behavioral disorders, the zone of proximal development is lower than other kids, and that they probably are not going to do as many things independently, or not do many things appropriately independently. So there's going to be a lot of guidance at the beginning to get them to engage in appropriate social skills and things like that before they can do them without any type of assistance. All right, let's talk about moral development. So one of the main theories of moral development is Kohlberg's theory. And I love talking about Kohlberg's theory. Basically, he presents a lot of moral situations where you have to choose to engage in a behavior, choose to do something. But it's not the behavior that Kohlberg focuses on. It's the moral reasoning behind the behavior. So he doesn't care what your decision is. He cares why you decided to make that decision. And Kohlberg has 3 levels. So the first level is the pre-conventional level. And in this level, it's all about me. So you are going to decide to do something in a situation because of how it's going to affect you. What's in it for me? Will I get caught? Will I get in trouble? Will I get punished? Will I get rewarded? It's all about you. The next level is the conventional level, and that's all about the team. So you take a leap from being self-centered to considering the team. You might do things because, think about society, because there are laws in society. So you do things because there are laws and you're following the laws. Or you might not do something because somebody in society might talk about you or might think less of you. So it's all about how others think of you and how you're going to follow the rules in society. And the last level is the post-conventional level, and this is all about humanity. So you don't care about the laws, you can violate them. You can violate them if it results in an individual's human right. So it's all about human rights, regardless of laws and regardless of your own punishment and things like that. So think about all about humanity. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a situation that Kohlberg typically gives. and I'm going to read it to you guys, and then I want you guys to pause it and tell me what you would do and why you would do that. So in Europe, a woman was near death from a special kind of cancer. There is one drug that the doctors thought would save her, and it was a form of radium that a druggist in the same town had recently discovered. The drug was expensive, but the druggist was charging 10 times what the drug cost him to make. He paid $200 for the radium, and he charged $2,000 for a small dose. The sick woman's husband, Heinz, went to everyone he knew to borrow the money, but he could only get together about $1,000, which is half. He told the druggist that his wife was dying and asked him to sell it cheaper or let him pay later, but the druggist said, "No, I discovered the drug, and I want to make money from it." So Heinz got desperate and broke into the man's store to steal the drug for his wife. Should the husband have done that? So I want you to pause right here and tell me if the husband should have done it and why. Remember, Kohlberg's not interested in whether you think the husband should have done it or not. He's interested in the reasons why. So, if you are on the pre-conventional level, you might have said something like, he should steal it because if he lets his wife die, he'll get in trouble. So it's all about him. Or he should steal it because that way he'll still have his wife with him. So once again, all about him. Conventional level, you might have said something like, people will think Heinz is bad if he doesn't steal the drug to save his wife. So you're looking at how society views you. He should steal it because it's his duty to take care of his wife. You're talking about duty in society and laws and things like that. Post-conventional, you might say something like, stealing breaks the law, but what Heinz did was reasonable because he saved a life. So it goes above him, it goes above what society thinks, and it talks about a life being saved. Or saving a life comes before financial gain, even if the person is a stranger. So you guys can see the reasoning behind this. Pre-conventional, all about me. Conventional, all about the team. And post-conventional, all about humanity. So I'm going to give you guys one more situation. I want you guys to see what you would say. So your BFF or roommate is struggling academically at U of H. You know that he comes from a very poor family, and getting financial aid and keeping up his grade point average is his only chance of making it through college. He also works, sends some of his paycheck home to help his family pay for expenses. If he fails out of school, he will not have a chance to finish college, and his family may not be able to make ends meet, and they may get kicked out of their house. You find that your roommate copied your English paper and turned it in as his own. Your roommate doesn't know that you know. Would you report him? So, keep that in mind and figure out what you would do. Would you report him? Would you not report him? And why? Remember, it's the why that's important. So, pre-conventional level, you would say you should report him because if somebody finds out that you knew, then you'll get punished too. So, all about you. You turn in your friend with the hopes that you'll be rewarded. Also, all about you. You're worried about whether you're going to get punished or get rewarded. Conventional, you don't turn in your friend because he and the rest of your friends will think you're a rat. So all about the team. What is society going to think of you? You turn your friend in because that's what the rules say to do. Rules of society, once again, all about the team. Post-conventional, you don't turn in your friend. So although you realize that the rules say you should, you believe that taking care and supporting your family becomes more important. So basically, Kohlberg suggests that not a lot of people actually make it to the post-conventional stage. And whenever I ask students what stage they think they're in, the majority of them actually think that they're in post-conventional. So it's really funny and it's really kind of fun and interesting. But it's okay to not be in post-conventional. And like I said, Kohlberg suggests most people don't actually get to post-conventional. So really look at the reasons why. I can admit, a lot of times I make decisions based off of pre-conventional. I don't do things or get in situations because I don't want to get in trouble. And that's that post-conventional phase. So keep that in mind. A lot of people want to think they're at the humanity stage and they're at the post-conventional stage. But it's actually pretty rare to get there. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about in this series of lectures is the dynamic systems perspective. And with all these theories that we talked about, this is the current theory in practice. And basically, they suggest that you relate it to a mountain stream. And I really like this analogy because you can see all these bumps and rocks, and you can see it twist and it turns, but the water is constantly flowing and constantly changing. And you get these periods where it drops, and periods of stability, and periods of where it drops in stability. And so I think it's a really good analogy to think about when you think of the dynamic systems perspective. So all aspects of a child's world are integrated into one system that impacts development. So life is always changing, everything is dynamic. The environment is affecting the behavior is affecting the environment, and all those things just come into play. And 3 things to keep in mind with a dynamic system. First of all, the complexity. Everything is complex. Second, the continuity in time. Basically, behaviors or decisions are not based off of the current environment. They're based off of what has happened in the past. Biology comes into play, and all those things. And then they talk about the dynamic stability. And those 2 words kind of seem contradictory, but they're referring to the fact that things are always dynamic and things are changing, but we strive for stability. So if something happens in a child's life, they're going to deal with it and adjust, and they're going to get stability again. And then something's going to happen, and they're going to learn how to adapt and adjust, and it's going to be stable again. And so that's why I like these waterfalls and then the stability and then the waterfalls and the stability. It's that it's this dynamic stability. You know, we're always striving for homeostasis, even within our bodies. You know, when we're hungry, we eat. That restores our homeostasis. When we're cold, we put a jacket on. Same thing with our behavior and our environment. If something happens in the environment, we adjust, we go back to being stable, and so on. And I did want to point out that child development is influenced by socioeconomic factors, cultural factors, and also child abuse can impact development. But realize these are all things that can increase the child's risk of developing an emotional and behavior disorder. It doesn't mean that these things happen and it results in an emotional and behavior disorder. So kids respond to situations in different ways. You know, people that have been abused as a child, some people can get out of that situation and really pay attention in school and thrive out in the community. And some people are exposed to that situation and drop out of school and just have a really, really hard time adjusting. So it puts people that are in these situations, it puts them at a higher risk, but it doesn't mean that it results in an emotional behavior disorder. So that's it for part 3, a little bit shorter. We talked about Vygotsky and his zone of proximal development. We talked about Kohlberg, his theories of moral development, and then we talked about the dynamic system approach. So, all right, guys, that's it for theories and causation. If you guys have any questions as you're going through the module or any questions about the chapter in general, just email me. All right, thanks, guys.